Hi, I'm Tim, and welcome to Collector Conversations. One of the best things about this series is that from time to time, I get to attach faces to the names I've seen in emails, social medias, and live streams. A name I've known long, but a face that's new to me. Marceau, welcome to the show.
How are you, Tim?
I'm doing great because you brought all the best watches. Because I don't see a logical starting point here. These are all fantastic watches. They would be cornerstones of most collections. So you mentioned to me one watch embodies the spirit of your first watch, so let's start there.
Fair enough.
Oris, diver, complicated, but sentimental attachment. What is that sentimental attachment?
Well, my first watch was an Oris Aquis small seconds with the gray dial and the green bezel. So I started with that one, and many watches down the road. When I got back into scuba diving, I was like, you know, I'd like to, I mean, I have dive computers and I have all the stuff, but I still like having a watch, mostly because I just like having an excuse to have a dive watch. And so when I saw that one, I had to get it, and I've taken it down to, you know, 135 feet, and it's always on my wrist.
Now, it's interesting because you do work professionally in the field of biology. So you are a diving enthusiast, but you are also professionally linked to the field.
I mean, not to the underwater part, but yeah. I mean, yes, that's true.
Would you consider yourself a general naturalist?
Yeah, oh, for sure, yeah.
Tubataha, have you been there?
I have not been there. It's on the list. I'm going to the Red Sea in a few months, and I think next year I'm going to try and make it work and actually get out there.
So this watch is really almost like the embodiment of an ambition.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is your link to where you started with Oris, and by the way, you do not see many regulator dial dive watches out there.
No.
It's got an awesome shark on the back. I'm sure you guys will see that, but we'll revisit that whole concept of marine biology down the line. So that's a fantastic cornerstone for an actual diver and naturalist. But where do we go from there? Why don't you just walk me through some of your conquests? I know some of these watches took the place of multiple others. Others were momentous acquisitions. Some you just like the style.
Well, I guess we could start here. So this is my Portuguese annual calendar. When I first learned about luxury watches, it was like in the mid-90s, before the internet was, you know, when it was by the minute, and there was one of those MX departure magazines. And so I'm thumbing through there, and there's this article, and they're like, here are all these great watches, and they're talking about all these brands, and they had their tier list. And the only one I recognized was Rolex, and it was on like the lowest tier. And then they had Patek Philippe and Vacheron, all these names that I've learned since then. And the one that, in that article, there were two brands that stuck out in my mind, and it was IWC and Ulysse Nardin. And then this model is just, ever since I saw it, has been like, that's the coolest annual calendar.
Now, without a doubt, and you know, it's a core IWC. If you're going to own an IWC, a Portuguese or some sort of a pilot's watch, if you're just going to have one, this looks like a Portuguese. The complication doesn't corrupt the traditional balance.
And it's, you know, it's symmetrical, which is a thing for me. You know, like 430 dates just hurt my soul. So
you're not an El Primero guy, I guess.
I'm not. It always upsets me when I see that, but I'm working on it. But that's why it's super symmetrical, and then the movement's beautiful, and I love that it's the gigantic automatic movement. That's really awesome too.
Oh,
so.
Yeah. Full size, over,
yeah.
I believe 37 millimeters, that movement.
Yeah, it's gigantic, so it looks cool.
Plus, we talked about legibility. There are a lot of calendars out there that have illegible registers. We were looking at the Patek 5235, you're like, nope, not for me. This is different.
I mean, the Patek 5235 is amazing, I just can't read it.
No, I understand,
I used to have like perfectly awesome vision, and now that I'm old, it's less perfect, but this one I can still see with my not super old man glasses, so it works.
That's funny because you say you can't read the calendar on the 5235. I can't read the time on it.
Well,
so
yeah.
You've got the leg up on me. Now, blue dials and the color blue generally do seem to be a theme in your collection. Blue is sort of emblematic of Ulysse Nardin, and this is a really cool piece because I was at SIHH when the Marine Tourbillon enamel arrived, and everyone was just thunderstruck by how much they were offering for under $30,000. How did this happen? Was this an ambition?
Well, I mean, like I said, I have liked Ulysse Nardin since that way back. And then when the Freak came out, also super loved it. And then you know, you're turning 50, and you'd like to mark that with something super cool, and you see a tourbillon that you could kind of afford if you sold a bunch of really cool watches, and that's what happens. And so that's how I ended up with the tourbillon, and enamel dial, it's got a tourbillon, it sounds cool.
It's steel, it's spherical, you can take it in water.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty spectacular. You would have asked me 5 years ago, you gonna buy a tourbillon? I'd be like, no, you kidding? And then they're like, oh yeah, okay. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, a tourbillon on guilloche that's automatic winding, that uses their own silicon technology. It's a flying tourbillon, it's power reserve. This watch is stacked. Like when I asked, was this an ambition? I knew it must have been a milestone. It was a birthday.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I mean, it's the ambition is like the celebration to me is buying the watch. So like turning 50 was like, I don't care about turning 50, but getting a tourbillon, that's really the thing.
Does it cushion the blow?
I don't
You don't even want to talk about it.
Whatever.
I'm turning 40 this year, so I know how it feels.
I mean, it's fine. I don't feel that different from when I'm 35, except for when I, look in the mirror or something like that, and then I'm reminded of it. That's
all good. But, you've got really two different takes on the tourbillon. You've got a carousel tourbillon, and you got a flying tourbillon. Which UN came first? Was it the tourbillon or the Freak?
The Freak. Yeah.
Freak was number one.
The Freak came first. I've always loved the Freak. It's kind of like that mechanical art watch, like an MB&F kind of thing. And, you never use the word affordable for a watch that costs this much, but relative to other Freaks, it is affordable. And so when the Freak X came out, I was like, I can squeeze that one out. It's gonna hurt, but I'll find a way. And so when I got it, I was just over the moon. Another one I never thought I would have. So
now that you have two tourbillon regulators effectively, which one gets more wrist time? Is it the Freak or is it the Marine?
The Marine's newer by a little bit, so it probably gets a little bit more wrist time, but they're both pretty high in the rotation. I mean, I try to be I try not to like have vault queens. I like to wear them all, and I don't even like I've worn my Moser to teach, in class, just because it's like, it's Gold Watch Day, whatever. Like I don't want to wait for a special occasion, so the only one that really has a dedicated role is the Oris, because it's the diver. The other ones don't come underwater, but they're pretty close. I mean, nobody gets to stay in the box for too long.
Do you have like a watch in, watch out type of rule, where if watch isn't getting enough wrist time, it becomes either a trade candidate or a sale candidate?
I've owned a lot of watches, so I don't have a bankroll or a job that would allow me to have a table full of watches. This is a lot. So, I've bought and sold and traded, and it's not one of those things that if I'm gonna experience more watches, I'm gonna have to buy and sell a little bit. But then every now and then something gets into the keeper category, and I'm sort of at the point now where all of these are keepers. It'd be hard to move any of these in and out of the collection. I mean, I try not to let it get too big. I did have a big purge to get some of the ones I have here, but these are all gonna stay, I think.
These are here for the long haul.
Yeah, I mean, my nephews will get to fight over them when I'm dead. That'll be fun.
Good stuff. So speaking of this idea that you've kind of sacrificed several to turn them into one, with the Omega Blue side of the moon, you mentioned to me specifically that this watch was the product of consolidating 3 watches you weren't wearing enough into one that you would. Tell me a bit about how you discovered the blue side and why you went with the Aventurine specifically.
Well, I had a 300M when the new 300M first came out in 2018. The gray dial with the blue, the gray dial with the blue bezel.
Yes.
So I had that one, and then I had a Breitling Super Ocean that I liked, and then I got the Zenith Elite skeleton, the blue ceramic one. And I love the Zenith, but it always, it's one of those that looked awesome in pictures. And then when I got the watch, it was like, it's nice, but, and then so that one is amazing looking, and I mean, I didn't see it there was no shop that had it in New Orleans. So I'd just seen it in pictures, and I was like, the blue side's super cool. The Aventurine dial looks like space. The gold hands, the gold moon. It's got all the cool stuff. I like the 300M a whole bunch, but I was like, well, it's the first one where I'm like, hey, if I could sell these 3, then I can, get that one. And those were 3 grid watches, but I was going to say over the moon. That's a bit cheesy, but whatever.
Well, it fits. It's a moon face.
Exactly. I mean, I still wear it a lot. It's a great watch. I've had it for a while, and it's awesome. And it's as big as it is because it's 44 and like 18 thick, so it's chunky. It weighs nothing, so it feels awesome.
Now, one thing I really like here, and I think it's a theme that you might want to build on in the future, is we were talking about how you like ceramic and how it's long wearing, it's durable. It keeps the watch forever young, and that was kind of what led you to the Girard-Perregaux Laureato in black ceramic. Just kind of tell me about your thinking as you approached this purchase and what else you might have considered.
When the Laureato came out in 2016, well, that version of it came out in steel. It was cool. I liked it. I think it's a nice looking design, and I always kind of wanted one, but then, I was like, it's gonna get all scratched up, and whatever.
And they do.
They do. And then, there's other things, and then this was kind of an impulse buy. Another one of those where my bank account was like, no. But then it was like, it's a good deal, and it's black ceramic. It'll never look bad. It'll look perfect forever. And all right, fine. I'm turning 50. I mean, I was turning 50 for this one, but I'm turning 50 for that one too. Whatever.
You can get more than one birthday
exactly.
present. Don't worry.
So, and yeah, it's great. And I think like that could be your only watch. It can do anything. It's light. It's slim enough where not that you're. I don't wear tuxedos all the time, but I mean, it would look good with it would look good with anything, and it's tough and it's durable, and I like it a lot. It's a very cool watch, and I don't have to worry about babying it or doing anything special with it. It can pretty much take whatever, minus, jackhammering class and stuff like that.
Oh, that's Oris. You got Oris.
Exactly.
But what I really like too is we were talking about like the path not taken and what it would have cost to get into an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak that's the equivalent of this. And honestly, in terms of finishing outside, finishing inside, especially on the caliber 1800 movement, I think advantage Girard-Perregaux.
Yeah, and you don't have to cash out your retirement, and sell all your organs to get it. So, and you can actually get it. You don't have to like wait 1,000 years or win 2 Super Bowls or something like that. You could. A human can buy that, yeah. Well,
you left out the part about groveling and debasement.
That too, yeah. There's some of that probably goes in there,
I mean, fantastic piece. And like you said, very thin. People underestimate just how thin these are. This is not an offshore. This is more like a Royal Oak fighter, even though it's got the water resistance of an offshore. And
I just wore that one Mardi Gras Day. It was down in the French Quarter just a couple of days ago, and it's fine, Totally fine. You can
no
bombard
this with
whatever
plastic
happens,
beads
it's fine.
all day long.
Yeah.
No scratches.
No scratches.
And this is interesting to me because you do have a few watches on bracelets, but jumping back to the straps, most of these are custom, and you've got a great story behind them. Jumping back to your Bucherer Blue and the Blue Side of the Moon, where do these straps come from? So there's this lady I met her on Facebook in a watch group. And you just Facebook message her, and her thing is called Love Leather. Just sounds a little whatever, but it's this lady in Vietnam, and you just tell her, I'd like it in Ostrich Leg or whatever you want. I mean, like this one is lizard, and then I told her I wanted some like gold little circles, like it was the moon, and she was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And then she just does it. Pay her for stuff. A month later, you get your watch band, and she's made. I think the first thing I bought from her was probably in 2018. So I've been buying stuff, getting her to make custom straps, and she does really good work. And she'll do whatever you want. If you want her to make some exotic, weird pattern, she'll give it a shot. Yeah, I gotta say, I don't know what's more amazing: how good these straps look, or the fact that you found some woman overseas advertising love leather and send money, and you actually got something other than con. I did, exactly. The first time I was like, well, it's only $80, and then, and then she'll even she'll put whatever color leather you want on the back. She'll give you a picture of the hide, and you can pick this part here with these little scales, whatever you want. You've got this like broguing of like gator on gator, and it's the 2 tones that match the dial. Yeah. So I sent her the picture of the watch, and I was like, I'd kind of like the little moons to sort of be this color. And she's like, I'll do the best I can. And then you've got this full custom horn back here. And again, you didn't have to sit and beg at an AP boutique. I know we're ripping on AP today, but you know, they've earned it well. Don't worry. They're laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah, they're doing fine.
This is a great example of like what's possible when someone who really knows what she's doing works with an exotic material. You've got this gloss blue hornback, a yellow binding stitch, and then a small round scale croc on the back.
Yep.
And I mean, my gosh, what a match for this case.
Yeah, it turned out great. Been happy with all of her work, and you know, they're great straps. And I mean, you know, yeah, you know, you get a crocodile strap from a manufacturer in Europe, and it's going to cost you a decent micro brand watch. You know?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So.
And also, just looking at this, I can see she appears to have bonded this because there's no stitch of the hornback to the round scale on the bottom, and the bonding is seamless.
Yeah, no, she does great work.
Do you buy these watches like with a view to adding her straps now?
I mean, I do think about it, you know, and I have some that I've got from some other, you know, when I got this one, I got it from Japan, and they couldn't ship the factory strap because, you know, it's gator and
CITES treaties and whatnot.
Yeah, so it was like, so I get the watch head and the buckle, and then that's it. And so I was like, well, okay. So then I contacted her, and she made me one that like an aviator style one with the rivets out of Stingray. Yeah. And then she made this ostrich leg one just to have a different color, you know? So yeah, I mean, you know, same thing with the Benzinger. I mean, I do think about like, oh, what color custom strap can I get? Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Or, you know, oh, I like the double vintage stitch. Yeah, that'll be kind of cool. Yeah. And every time I've asked her to do something, she's done it, so.
So now we talk about custom straps. Let's talk about a watch that is fully customized. This is one of those moments when you've got to have some sort of like steel in your soul to commit to something sight unseen, because you went very different with this Benzinger Joy, and you did a few things that even he didn't think would work out. So walk me through the process from contact to delivery. So
I seen these things online. I think it was a Watchfinder video where they were just gushing over Benzinger and how awesome it is. So that's how I knew about it. And then so I was looking at it and I was kind of thinking of some models, but it's like, well, I know, but I want to change a color. And so I emailed him, and he emailed me back right away, and he was super friendly. And I was like, look, I'm interested in this watch, but can I do a custom dial color? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. So what do you want? I was like, well, you know, I want it to be rose gold, and then I want the guilloche part in the center to be green. And then on the back side, I want you to, you know, do your regular decoration stuff, and then, you know, paint some of the parts green. And he was like, I don't know if I could do that. He's like, I'm not sure it's gonna look right. And I was like, it'd be really cool. Could you please do it? And then he was actually super nice. And he ended up asking me, like, he followed me on Instagram, and I'd like posted some pictures of some spaghetti dinner. And so he's asking me, like, did I make the pasta and all that stuff? So like, not just talking about watches, like he's just being super friendly. But he was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll get the guy to do some green highlights on the movement. And then afterwards, when he showed me a few pictures, I mean, it took 6 months, well, 5.5 months to get the watch. And it was very, very agonizing to not want to email him every day and ask him about it. But I was a good boy, and I left him alone. And yeah, he sent me some pictures, and he's like, you know, it turned out great. And he's like, he couldn't be a nicer guy.
And that's a great thing, because a lot of people don't know about Benzinger. There's some people out there like Benzinger, like Christophe Chaffo, like, well, Josh Shapiro was on that list before he became famous, but like Artur Akhmeyev. And there are people who specialize in guilloche or engraving or skeletonization, and they do work in watchmaking on a very low volume, almost entirely custom, and they just don't get enough attention.
No, I mean, I think his stuff, I mean, you know, Kari Voutilainen has all the special movements and all this kind of stuff, but those watches are six-figure watches. And I mean, this watch is, you know, at the time, I think it was 9,000 euros. And I think for the amount of handwork that goes into it, it's amazing. And it's a killer looking watch. And it is, you know, and he'll do pretty much whatever you want. And maybe you twist his arm a little, you know.
But, you know, the other thing, too, is Kari is an industrialist. He has whole separate factories making different parts of watches. Benzinger is a one-man show.
Yeah.
You deal with him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's, you know, you wouldn't think that like you would have this access to the guy, and the workmanship is just, it's unbelievable. When I first got it, I was just like staring at it for,
oh, man, I would too.
you know, for like a day or two, you know, I'm like, I should probably eat.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looks like $100,000 watch, so
Yeah,
I don't blame you.
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
What is this strap?
It's Ostrich Leg. That's the same lady from Vietnam, you know, so.
Orange and green, that is bold.
Well, it made me think of like, you know how like IWC does the orange? So I was like, okay, I could do that.
Like the Santoni orange.
Yeah. So that's kind of my idea, was to go for something like that. You know, I mean, it doesn't show, so you can kind of, you know, go nuts a little bit. And then I wanted the green just and the gold to kind of sort of go with the watch. So yeah, I mean, you know.
Absolutely dynamite. And again, it could be whatever you want it to be because it's custom.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Benzinger's full custom. The Moser is not, but philosophically, these two things are polar opposites. You've got maximalist finish, design,
for
and
sure.
intricacy on the Benzinger. The Moser is about as little as you could possibly fit into a dial. So, case watch movement, how'd you discover Moser and why'd you choose this model?
You know, I think a lot of people ran into Moser because of all of the, you know, his advertising schemes and, you know, all the
Edward.
Yeah. I mean, his personality, and then just all, you know, all the crazy stuff, and it's funny, and you know, the cheese watch and the natural watch with all the
garden.
Yeah, the garden of stuff growing out of it, you know, and the
Swiss Icons.
The Swiss Icons watch. Yeah, that was another cool one. So I mean, that's what got me interested. And then I always was like, oh, I'd love to get a Moser one day, you know, but I mean, they cost a lot of money, and you know, whatever. And it was another one of those things. In fact, this was from you guys.
We appreciate that.
Well, I'm happy to give you guys money. I'm giving you a lot. Yeah, so I saw it, and it was, you know, another one of those things where, you know, some things had to come out of the collection, but I was like, oh man, if I can get a gold Moser, you know, I mean, okay, you know, I mean, how could I not get one? You know, so I mean, the price was right, and you know, it's one of 100. And I like big watches. You know, I have a pretty big wrist, so you know, it's the larger size. It's the 42.8. So
Venturer XL.
Yeah. So, and then I mean, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. So
yeah. I do love the Moser aesthetic. Minimal. You know, you've got basically the 4 cardinal points on the dial. Fume fade, a little bit of a metallic gradient. Really punchy watch. Now, do you feel like you have to dress up to wear it, or will you wear this with a t-shirt, short sleeves? I mean,
I try and wear all my watches. Like if I'm going to a nice dinner, I'll wear either the Benzinger or one of the 2 gold ones, because you know, it's a gold watch. But I will also wear these to school. I'll wear them to teach. I don't wear them to cut the grass, but you know, I like to wear them, all of them around, you know. So as long as I'm not doing anything high impact, I'll wear it, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you got to wear them, and you buy them to wear them. You know, I mean, they're not, it's like anything. You know, it's like if you have a collector car, it's fun to drive. If you have a, you know, it's like safe cleans are kind of lame.
No, I know exactly what you mean. You got a 1967 Corvette. What do you take it to vintage racing? No, I take it to Dairy Queen.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to do everything in your watches. I mean, you know, I don't need an occasion. I mean, I feel like if there is an occasion, I'll wear the nice watch, but I should just wear it whenever I want. You know, as long as I'm not gonna beat it up too hard and be nice to it, you know.
Now this is a watch that I think maybe kind of forces the issue a little bit, because you do have a full gold bracelet clasp, maybe just a little bit more sensitive to how it's worn.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wear that one to, you know, I'll put it on a different watch when I'm going to the gym. I won't wear that one, but I've been a huge fan of Chopard forever, so that's another one from you guys. When I saw your video, in fact, I commented on your video saying that my bank account is in trouble.
I have that effect on people.
It's fine. I mean, it's all right. So it was like, it's a gold watch, it's a gold bracelet watch, it's a Chopard. It has a 6 o'clock date, which is awesome. So it's even symmetrical. I mean, it's got everything I want. You know, the LUCs are super cool. You know,
yeah, I mean, a chronometer grade watch, manufacturer movement, it's slim, it's different.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a killer watch, you know, and so, whatever. turning 49, I'll buy it. You know?
Yeah, well, every day is an occasion,
Every day
right?
is an occasion if you can buy a cool watch. So.
And you come from, you come from French Louisiana, so you've got the style to pull this off.
Well, actually, I have a funny story about that. My aunt, who's 82, no idea she was into watches, knew anything about watches. I had a tank. So I went to dinner with her, my aunt and uncle. I'll meet them for dinner like once a month. I'm wearing the Cartier, and she's like, "Is that a Cartier?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I gave it to her, and she was like, "Oh, wow, this is so cool." And she had a couple of watches, and she was telling me about her watches. And then when I got this, I wore that. And then so she's like, "What is that?" So then I showed it to her, and she's like, and she speaks French. So we have an entire conversation in French. And she's like, "It's a Chopard." And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "That's a real European watch. You really know what you're buying." And I was like, "Wow, thank you, of course."
Wow, you're like raised a few degrees of esteem
I was
there.
like, okay, yeah, totally. But it's a great watch. I love it. I mean, it's, and like I said, I've always been a huge fan. So it's nice to, I was thinking about getting the steel one before I got the Benzinger. And then when I saw I could get the gold, and I was like, all right, fair enough, I'll get the gold one.
And it's got the beating heart of an Alpine Eagle, so mechanically it's a pretty remarkable watch too. It's as accomplished inside as it is outside. Now, we kind of danced around the Bucher Blue, but you've got your two divers here, and this one is used for diving. You are a diver. This has been down. This has been down with breathing gear. But you've got the Bucher Blue, and it's set up a little bit more for like surface chic. But what's the idea behind this watch?
So when the Bucher Blue first came out, it was still Europe only. So another funny story. So I saw it and I was like, well, actually when the Black Bay Bronze first came out, I was like, I like it, but I don't know if I love the bronze. And then this version comes out and I'm like, okay, that's super cool. But you can't buy it in the US, when it first came out. So I was like, oh crap. So I'm looking at I'm looking, and there was the Bucher dealer in London who had one in stock on the website. So I emailed the person, will you ship it to the US? No. All right. So would you do anything? Well, you gotta come and buy it. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, can I pay for it? And that way, if I come to London, and the guy was like, you could hold it for me? And he was like, no. And I was like, so I just have to fly to London and hope you still have it? And he was like, yeah. And so I was like, all right. So then I bought when the gray version came out, I bought that one. I had it for a while. My brother really liked it. He has it now. And then I was like, man, it's the only time I've considered rebuying a watch. And then again, this was from your company, not terribly long ago. And I was like, and I had the Opaline GMT, the Tudor GMT. And I was like, well, if I could trade that. And then so I ended up making it work, and I was like, all right, fine. And then I got the hornback strap for it just to make it look pretty.
Just to go that extra mile.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, I don't dive with it, but I mean, I've been a fan since it came out. So I was super pleased to actually get one and not have to pay like the premium like you had to pay. Like, you could buy them here in the States, but they were like way over list when they first came out. So it worked out well. It worked out perfectly.
Well, that's good. You didn't have to pay a ransom. And you do have sort of like a watches must be worn ethos. And if a watch isn't being worn, it's heading out. And if a watch doesn't have a purpose, it's not getting worn, it's heading out. So where do you go from here? Like, what are your ambitions to expand? What is your blind quarter, something you want but don't have, or something you just feel is like the next echelon of collecting while still being worn?
I liked my tank a bunch, but the tank had to go out to fund some other stuff. But I like the idea of sort of the shape watch. So I'd like to get like, there's the UN Michelangelo, that's pretty cool. There's the Vacheron Malt.
Oh yes.
That's a cool one I like. So I'd like to get kind of something like in those lines is probably next on the radar. And then I've always had a thing for a Bell & Ross. Just a square one, a cool one. There's that newer blue ceramic diver one that's kind of cool. So I think it's probably the next ones. And then, I don't know, there has to come to a point when maybe I should ease off the gas a little bit. I mean, I have a super nice collection and I do really like them all, and I can't, like, you know, I couldn't really part with any of these without it really hurting a lot, you know?
No,
so,
but I like that, though. You have a disciplined approach and a plan, and although you do buy some...
You're being generous.
You do buy some watches on impulse, but I'm going to say this. Like, you have a good ethos about the watches getting worn and enjoying what you've got, because sometimes I'll ask people what's next, and they'll be like, well, I'm going to buy 15 more watches in the next 6 months. I'm like, well, enjoy that. I don't think you will,
I mean,
but, you know, you're
and
like...
I do have other, like, you know, I do have some, I mean, I bought a Helios, the sort of ice blue, the light blue one, you know. So I do have some like micro brands and like cheaper watches that you kind of buy just for fun. You know, I've had a million Seiko Samurais. You know, you buy one and you wear it for 2 months.
That's a little bit different.
You know, but these are like the nice ones. You know, so I still have those, but yeah, it's like for the, you know, the grown up watches, it's like I can't part with any of these. So it starts to get hard because it's like I really like
it's like
all
Tetris
of these.
when the pieces start falling fast, right?
You know, I really like all these. And then there's other things too. Like, you know, if I'm going to go to Tubataha, it's going to cost me a nice watch, you know, to do the trip. So it's like I got to start prioritizing things.
No, that's good. I mean, you've got a very, I don't want to say disciplined plan, but you've got a very defined and refined taste. When I ask you what's coming down the pike, you have specific references. You know what you like. We can't always control our hearts, but we can definitely, I guess, aim for the target, right? If we know we're going to jump out of the plane, we can at least try to aim the parachute.
Well, that's part of the thing about, like, you know, when you first get into watch collecting and you just buy a bunch of watches and people are like, you should have saved for your Rolex or whatever, but buying a bunch of watches is how you figure out what you like, you know? And so you kind of, it's expensive, but it's like your watch tuition, you know? Like you got to pay for like developing your taste and what you enjoy. And so it's not, I mean, I've sold a lot of watches and I've lost money on all of them, you know? It's
yeah,
like
you and me both.
I'm not a businessman.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. But that's how you sort of figure out, like, okay, I really like this, and this is, you know, and that's part of it.
You're talking to a guy with a skinny wrist who bought a nearly 47mm watch as his first time. I mean, so you don't have to tell me.
Yeah, you know, that's fine. You know.
Thanks so much, Marceau. This has been a blast.
Totally.